My name is Mia Sullivan, and today is my wedding day. I'm marrying the heir to the Voss family, Newport's most powerful elite dynasty, Cale Voss. The only catch, my husband is a living corpse. 3 months ago, Cale was in a bizarre car crash and fell into a coma instantly. Doctors diagnosed him as vegetative, with almost no chance of waking up. No one knows where Arthur Voss, the Voss patriarch, found a psychic. The psychic claimed a girl with a matching astrological chart could reverse his fate and keep his grandson alive. Unluckily for me, I'm that poor girl. Worse still. My money-obsessed stepmother Clara handed over my birth chart, without blinking, all for a $30 million dowry and 2 lucrative corporate contracts. Right now, I'm sitting in a bedroom bigger than my entire apartment, wearing a priceless custom wedding dress. Medical beeps echo nonstop and the air reeks of antiseptic, turning this grand wedding into a lavish funeral. My groom, Cale Voss, lies motionless on the massive bed, eyes squeezed shut, skin pale. If not for the faint rise and fall of his chest, he'd look like a perfectly crafted wax figure. To be honest, he's stunning. Sharp brows, starry eyes, a straight nose, the kind of face I'd only gush over on the covers of finance magazines. Too bad the hottie can't move. He's basically a high-end action figure. Mrs. Voss, it's time to wipe the master down. A middle-aged woman in a nurse's uniform walks in, her tone robotic with a hint of disdain in her eyes. I get it. A woman who marries a comatose man for money can't possibly be respectable in anyone's eyes. I nod, take the towel and basin, and walk to the bed. The nurse lingers, standing by like a supervisor. I resign myself to wringing out the towel and start wiping his face. His skin is smooth, cool to the touch. When I reach his closed eyes, the anger bubbling inside me finally boils over. Why me? Why does my life have to be arranged like this? Just because my birth father is weak and my stepmother is cruel. Just because I'm poor and powerless, a disposable sacrifice. As soon as the nurse leaves, I lock the door, plop down on the carpet by the bed, and kick off my wedding night special, my one-woman roast session. Hey, Cale Voss, you listening? Doesn't matter if you are or not, you're gonna hear this. You had to drive like a maniac, huh? Trying to race to heaven? Well, congrats, you slept straight through the finale, and your whole family. At the wedding today, they all dressed to the nines but looked at me like I was garbage. Your Aunt Bianca's eyeliner was practically stretched to her temples, telling me, take good care of Cale, like I was some overpaid nanny she bought. Then there's your cousin Lila, bragging non-stop about her new limited edition bag, saying her boyfriend got it for her. Please, I saw it right away. It's a fake. Should I tell her? I rant until my throat is dry and he doesn't move an inch. I'm tired of yelling, sigh deeply, and get ready to wash up. The second I stand up, I catch a glimpse from the corner of my eye. Cale's eyelashes. They flutter, so faintly, almost imperceptibly. I freeze solid, thinking I'm hallucinating. I lean in, staring dead at his eyes. Those long, thick lashes cast a tiny shadow under the lights, still, lifeless. Must be my imagination. I laugh at myself, definitely exhausted from today, losing my mind. I turn to the bathroom, completely missing that behind me. Those closed eyes slowly flutter open a slit. Deep, clear eyes. No trace of coma-induced fog, only sharp clarity and a hint of suppressed amusement. The morning after the wedding, my official nanny career begins. I am woken by the nurse at 6 a.m. Then go through the robotic routine, wipe his body, move his joints, dampen his lips with a cotton swab, and listen to the doctor and nutritionist rattle off his vital signs for the day. Not a single Voss family member shows up the entire time. At 10 a.m., Mr. Bennett the butler finally tells me to go to the main mansion's living room for the family tea ceremony. I change into a modest dress and walk into the main mansion, gilded like a royal palace. All the key Voss family members are here. At the head sits Arthur Voss, the patriarch, a stern, imposing old man. To his left is Elias Voss, Cale's father, and Victoria Voss, his mother. Elias wears a permanent scowl. Victoria dabs at her eyes with a handkerchief, crying fake tears. To his right is Julian Voss, Cale's uncle, and his wife Bianca, her eyeliner sharp enough to use as a ruler. Next to them sits Jackson Voss, their son, leering at me like I'm a piece of meat. At the far end sits Lila, the spoiled cousin. It looks like a trial, not a family gathering. Mia, the patriarch booms first. Now that you're part of the Voss family, you follow our rules. First and foremost, take care of Cale. Yes, Grandpa, I nod obediently. Father, Don't be too hard on the girl, Aunt Bianca chimes in fake sweetly. It breaks my heart to see Kale like this. Mia's so young, stuck living like a widow. Poor thing. She says poor thing but grins with schadenfreude. I snort inwardly, forcing a smile sadder than a cry. Aunt Bianca's right. It's an honor to marry Kale to reverse his fate. I don't care what happens to me as long as he gets better. I almost gag at my own words, but the elders eat it up. Sure enough, the patriarch's face softens. Only Victoria, Kale's mother, huffs and looks away, clearly disgusted that a poor girl like me tainted her perfect son. Tea ceremony, red envelopes, lectures. By the end, I'm more drained than after college finals. I finally make it to lunch, an endless table of gourmet food. I'm ready to dig in and heal my soul when Victoria snaps, go check if Kale's nutrient IV is finished. My chopsticks freeze midair. Mom, Nurse Hale is already there, I mumble. Nurses can't care for him like his wife, she says, without lifting her eyes. Go. Kale comes first. No one at the table says a word for me. I set down my chopsticks and stand up. Fine, you win. I go back to our bridal suite. The nurse says the IV was just replaced. Still 30 minutes left. My stomach growls, and I don't want to go back to that table of fake smiles, so I rummage through the room's minibar and find a cup of instant noodles. Boil water, tear open the package, add the noodles and seasoning. Soon, a cheap but irresistible aroma fills the fancy antiseptic-scented room. I fork a bite, slurp it down, and squint with happiness. Kale Voss, you've ruined my life. I mumble to the bed, starting my daily roast. Your mom is the biggest fake I've ever met. She hates me, but acts like a saint for her son, throwing me under the bus in front of everyone. In a reality show, she'd get cancelled in the first episode. Your dad has a permanent resting bitch face, like everyone owes him $1 million. His son's in a coma, his wife's faking tears, and he acts like a bystander. This family's gonna crash and burn under him. Funniest of all is your Uncle Julian. He stares at me like he's got greed tattooed on his forehead. I bet $5 he's behind your car crash. I'm so caught up in ranting, I don't notice the heart monitor's line flicker. Tiny, abnormal spikes. After finishing the noodles, I burp contentedly. I'm about to clean up when my phone rings. It's my stepmother. Mia, sweetie. How's life at the Voss mansion? Are they treating you well? Her voice is sickly sweet, fake as can be. Fine, Mom, I reply, flatly. Good, good. She switches gears instantly. Your dad's factory is short on cash, lately. Think you can ask the Voss family for help? You know, for your old home? There's the real motive. I laugh in anger. Mom, I married a comatose man, not an ATM. Do you really think a fate-reversing bride has that kind of pull? Oh, don't be silly. You're Mrs. Voss now. This is nothing for you. I hang up immediately, not wanting to hear another word. Rage and helplessness crash over me like a wave. I curl up on the carpet, hug my knees, and for the first time in this cold room, I feel like crying. I bury my face in my knees, hiding my breakdown from the security cameras. Then I hear it, a tiny, faint tap on the bed frame. Tap. Soft, but crystal clear in the silent room. I shoot up, staring at the bed. Kale still lies motionless, unchanged. Hallucination again? No, this time, I'm certain. The sound came from his hand hanging by his side. My heart pounds wildly. A crazy, bold, terrifying thought hits me. Is he awake this whole time? Once the thought takes root, it spirals like ivy in my mind. For the next few days, I watch him quietly. I still wipe him down, move his joints, and rant to him about the Voss family's weirdos when no one's around. Kale, your cousin Lila showed off again today. She's going to some debutante ball and asked if I have a fancy gown. I almost offered her my nurse's uniform. She'd be the star of the show, for sure. Your Aunt Bianca is worse. She dragged me around, introducing me to eligible bachelors, saying I'm too young to be stuck here. I think she's trying to set me up with a lover to control me. Her scheme is so obvious I can hear it from my room. I talk while staring at his fingers, eyelashes, and the heart monitor from the corner of my eye. But he acts like a real vegetative patient. No movement, no reaction. The monitor never flickers again. Was it just my imagination? I don't believe it. Woman's intuition tells me this man is hiding something. I decide to turn up the heat. That night, after the nurse leaves, I lock the door as usual. Instead of sitting on the carpet, I drag a chair to his bedside. I pull out my phone and play an audio file I downloaded earlier. It's a spine-chilling horror audiobook. Old Man Zhang walked through a graveyard at midnight. Suddenly, cold wind howled, ghosts wailed. The narrator's dramatic, suspenseful voice echoes in the quiet ward, making it extra eerie. I munch on an apple, eyes glued to Kale. Bingo, when the story says a cold hand landed on Old Man Zhang's shoulder, I clearly see his Adam's apple bob. Tiny, but unmistakable. A swallow. It's faint, but I caught it. I'm ecstatic, but keep a straight face. I turn off the audiobook, pat my chest, and mutter, "Yikes, too scary. I'm done. Time to sleep." I stretch lazily and casually toss the apple core straight into the trash can in the farthest corner of the room. Done. I yawn, turn off the main lights, and leave only a dim bedside lamp on. I don't sleep in the next room. I lie down fully clothed on the couch by the bed, back to him, pretending to sleep. Time ticks by. The room is so quiet, I can hear my own heartbeat. I hold my breath and wait patiently. About half an hour later, right as I'm about to doze off, I hear it. A tiny fabric rustle, then soft, quiet footsteps on the floor. My heart leaps to my throat. He's really up. I stay still, pretending to sleep, but my ears are perked like a radar. I hear him walk to the corner, where I threw the trash can. Then, rummaging. What's he looking for? The apple core. I remember, I held the apple with my bare hands. The core has my full fingerprints on it. Is he checking my identity, or something else? A moment later, I hear him go into the bathroom. Flush. Then he slips back into bed, silently. The whole thing takes less than 5 minutes. No one would notice if I wasn't awake. Once I'm sure he's settled, I quietly roll over to face him. In the dim light, he lies exactly as he did before I fell asleep. But now I know the truth. This man, Newport's golden boy, thought to be a vegetable by everyone, is awake, can walk, and even has the sense to dispose of an apple core that could expose his secret. He's acting, faking it for everyone. A huge mystery unfolds before me. Why is he doing this? What's the real story behind the crash? And me, this girl pushed into his life by fate. And the only one who knows. In that moment, I don't feel scared. Just pure, thrilling excitement. My stupid, boring, controlled life suddenly got interesting. Once I confirm Kale's faking it, my whole mindset shifts. Before, I was a resentful bride forced to play along. Now, I'm the secret holder, the ally who can flip the table at any time. I start testing and teasing him non-stop. One day, the nurse finishes changing his dressing just as I walk in with a bowl of soup. "Mrs. Voss, you're so thoughtful." The nurse compliments politely. I smile. It's my duty. As soon as she leaves, I set the abalone and sea cucumber soup aside and pull out a box of self-heating spicy snail noodles. I tear open the package in front of Kale, add the ingredients, pour cold water, and close the lid. Soon, a strong, unmistakable sour bamboo aroma fills the room. I set a small table by his bed, slurp the noodles, and narrate dramatically. "Kale, smell this? It's spicy snail noodles. Smells bad. Tastes amazing. This aroma hits hard. Feel like your brain's waking up?" I watch his reaction closely as I talk. His face stays neutral, but his nose twitches. So faintly. He's holding back. I grin inwardly, upping the ante. "Hey, what if I accidentally spill this soup on your $1,000,000 sheets? Think your mom would explode on the spot?" I see his eyelid twitch. Haha. Can't hold it anymore. I'm having too much fun. I hold up a bamboo shoot with chopsticks. Wave it under his nose. "Come on, hottie, open up. I'll feed you. It's magic food. Cures everything." Right as the chopsticks touch his lips, I see the heart monitor's flat line spike sharply, then drop back instantly. I pull my hand back, quitting while I'm ahead. "Fine. I won't torture you since you're stuck here." I pop the bamboo shoot in my mouth, chewing happily. I know he's cursing me 1,000 times in his head. A bride who marries to reverse his fate, not nursing him faithfully, eating snail noodles by his bed. It's unheard of, but I think he kind of likes the chaos. Since that day, I notice every time I rant or do something wild, the heart monitor gives tiny, definite flickers. It becomes our unspoken way of communicating. For example, his heart races when I talk about Uncle Julian planting his people in the company. It beats steady and strong, sarcastic. When Lila's fake bag gets exposed and she runs home crying. It even does a quick, cheerful patter when I tell him my stepmother called begging for money and I shut her down. This discovery fascinates me. I start treating him like my special audience, a judge who only scores with heartbeats. My favorite part of every day is our private time after the nurse leaves. I tell him everything that happened that day, turning the Voss family's drama into stand-up comedy. "Your mom pulled another stunt today. She hired some French nutritionist who says Kale's food has to be measured to the milligram. That diet, not enough to fill my teeth." I said, "Mom, Kale needs real food, not lab data." "You know what?" she said. "You don't understand science." Please, she doesn't understand people. Then there's your cousin Jackson, who cornered me in the hallway trying to make a move. I kicked him right. Well, you know, he's probably walking bow-legged now. Did I nail it? Beat faster twice if you think I did. Right after I speak, the monitor beeps. Beep beep. Faster twice. I burst out laughing. It's the weirdest, most amazing feeling. We're separated by a lie of life and death, but connected in the rawest way possible. I don't know why he's faking the coma or what his plan is, but I I know in this cold, scheming mansion, this comatose man on the bed is my only most loyal ally. Our ward comedy show is going great, but the Voss family won't let me relax. First to crack is Aunt Bianca. One day, she shows up with a pile of supplements, grinning like a Cheshire cat. "Mia, you've been working so hard." She grabs my hand, overly affectionate. "You've lost weight." I cringe inwardly, pulling my hand away. "Spit it out, Aunt Bianca." "Oh, you're too direct," she chides, then lowers her voice. "Here's the thing. Your Uncle Julian is going after a huge overseas project. But your dad Elias won't support it. You know, with Kale like this, someone has to run the company. Your uncle's doing this for the Voss family." I get it. She wants me to be her messenger. "Aunt Bianca," I blink innocently. "I'm just a new fate-reversing bride. What say do I have with Dad?" "Of course you do." Bianca panics. "You're Kale's wife. Talk to your mom. Get her to convince Elias. If we land this project, you'll get a big reward." She pulls out a bank card and shoves it in my hand. $50,000 in here. Think of it as pocket money from your aunt. I hold the card, snorting inwardly. 50 grand to buy me off? But I don't refuse. I take it, putting on a greedy, hesitant face. "I'll try." No promises, though. "It'll work. Definitely." Bianca grins and leaves once I take the card. As soon as she's gone, I march into Kale's room. I wave the card in front of his face. "Look what your aunt gave me. 50 grand to beg your dad to help your uncle steal the project. Think I got ripped off?" The heart monitor stays flat. He's not surprised at all. "You knew your uncle wants the company, didn't you?" I ask. His heart beats twice, faster. "Yep, all right. Since you know, I'll act this out for you." I take the card straight to Victoria's room. She's having afternoon tea with a group of wealthy socialites. The room goes cold when I walk in. "Mom," I call respectfully. "What?" She snaps. "Cold." I set the bank card on the table in front of everyone. "Mom, Aunt Bianca gave this to me." I say, eyes red on cue, voice wavering. "She told me to convince you to back Uncle Julian's overseas project. But I think Kale's still here. The company shouldn't be taken over by the second branch. It's not right. I can't take this money." My voice cracks, dramatic and sincere. Victoria's face twists with rage. She already hates the second branch. I just poured gasoline on her fire. "Outrageous." She slams the table, startling the socialites. "Does Bianca think we're fools?" The socialites whisper, staring at me, from disdain to sympathy and a little approval. I successfully pull off the loyal wife who stands by her husband act in front of Victoria and her friends. After the show, I run back to report to my exclusive audience. "How'd I do? Oscar-worthy, right?" I brag to Kale. "I exposed your aunt's scheme and won your mom over. She probably thinks I'm her real daughter now." The heart monitor spikes in a quick, cheerful rhythm. He's clapping for me. I'm glowing, but the fun isn't over. I pull out my phone and call Bianca. "Aunt Bianca," I sob. "I'm so sorry, I messed up." "What?" Bianca's voice is tight with panic. I took your card to Mom to help you, but she thought I was stirring up trouble, yelled at me, and threw the card away." I lie perfectly. "I'm so stupid, Auntie. I lost your money. I not only betrayed her, I stole her 50 grand. The line goes silent. I can picture Bianca's face twisting with rage. "It's fine." She grits out. "Not your fault. Your mom's being unreasonable." I hang up and roll on the floor laughing. I turn to Kale. "Hey, rate that performance." Out of 10, this time, the monitor doesn't react right away. Just as I think he's asleep, I hear it, a muffled, suppressed laugh from deep in his throat. Only one sound, gone in a flash. But I heard it. I swear I did. This man, he laughed at my joke. After I make Kale laugh, I unlock a whole new world. My ward stand-up gets bolder, more creative. Sometimes I read finance news, narrating the drama of billionaires like a storyteller. Word is, billionaire Mr. King spent millions on a new actress. Turns out she's a spy from a rival company. Classic. Lose the girl, lose the money, and get played. Every time, his heart races like he's listening to the juiciest gossip. Sometimes I buy special magazines, like Billionaire Boss Falls for Me, reading them dramatically. "Woman, you've caught my attention," he smirks, pinning her against the wall. At that line, I swear, the room's pressure drops. The poor heart monitor spikes like an alarm. I know he's protesting, but I love it, getting Newport's legendary business tycoon to listen to cheesy romance lines. Not everyone gets that experience. Our weird daily routine builds a silent bond. He's a quiet tree hole, listening to all my joys and anger. I get used to talking to him every day. I even find talking to a comatose man easier than talking to normal people. He never talks back, lies, or hurts me. One day, I'm reading him the latest gossip magazine when my phone rings. "Unknown number." I answer. A young man's voice comes through. "Is this Mia Sullivan?" Speaking. "Who's this?" "Ethan Reed." "Ethan Reed. The name unlocks a dusty memory. He was my college senior, the guy I used to like. After graduation, he moved abroad, and we lost touch. Ethan? I'm shocked. How did you? I'm back in the States. He smiles. I heard about you at a class reunion. How? Are you holding up? Your situation means me marrying a comatose man. I'm fine, I say. I heard you've been through a lot. Ethan's voice softens with concern. Mia, don't force it if you're unhappy. Oddly, his words don't warm me. They make me uncomfortable. I'm really okay, Ethan. Thanks for caring. I keep it polite and distant. Are you free this weekend? Let's meet up. Catch up as old friends. I glance at Kale on the bed without thinking. He lies still, like he doesn't hear a thing. But for no reason, I don't want to say yes. Sorry, Ethan. I can't this weekend. I have to take care of my husband. My cheeks heat up when I say husband, and the heart monitor's flat line jumps. Cheerful, definite. I hang up, flustered. I walk to the bed, stare at his handsome, lifeless face, and ask, hey, do you think I should meet him? He doesn't answer. He's my old crush. He's back from abroad and asked to meet. It's just an old friend thing, right? The monitor stays flat. Whatever. I pout. Never mind. A comatose man doesn't get romance. I turn to leave, and then I hear it. Tap, tap, tap. Faint, but rhythmic. I freeze, holding my breath. The sound again. Tap, tap, tap. My brain races. The rhythm. Long, short, short. It hits me. Morse code. I learned a little for fun years ago. I still remember the basics. Long, short, short equals letter D. D, don't go. I whisper tentatively. You mean, don't go? No more tapping. But the heart monitor spikes. Sharp, firm, a definite yes. My heart skips a beat with the line. I stare at the man on the bed, feeling his overwhelming, unshakable possessiveness for the first time. Is he jealous? A comatose man, jealous of me? This shocks me more than him laughing or moving, and it makes my heart flutter with sweetness. I don't meet Ethan that weekend. I text him saying my husband needs me and ignore his replies. Maybe it's my imagination, but Kale's responses get more frequent after that. He stops only using heartbeats. His moving index finger taps simple Morse code on the bed frame, mostly single letters. When I rant about Aunt Bianca, he taps B, bitch. When I mock Leela's taste, he taps S, stupid. When I talk about my greedy stepmother, he taps a long F, you get it. I'm pretty sure I'm the first person in history doing stand-up comedy with a comatose man via Morse code, and Kale Voss is definitely the coolest straight man ever. Our ward life is full of weird, private fun, until Lila brings an uninvited guest. One afternoon, I'm reading Kale a finance book like it's a bedtime story when Lila bursts in, followed by a flashy woman. I know her. Leela May, a D-list actress, Leela's best friend, and the most famous rumored girlfriend of Kale's before the crash, sister-in-law. Leela May came to see my brother specially, Leela says, grinning maliciously. Leela May puts on a devastated act, throwing herself at the bed, grabbing Kale's hand, and fake crying. Kale, how could this happen? Wake up, look at me. Her acting is so over the top I cringe hard. I stand aside, arms crossed, watching her show coldly. Miss Sullivan. Lila May turns to me, eyes sharp with hostility. You've been working so hard. She emphasizes Miss Sullivan on purpose. It's my duty as his wife. I smile. Stressing wife. Leela May's face freezes. I heard you married him for money to reverse his fate? She wipes fake tears, voice sharp. Can someone like you really take care of Kale? I don't need you to worry about that, Miss May. I smile, coldly. You were all over the news as Kale's girlfriend before the crash. Why didn't you visit until now? Too busy with no gigs? I hit her where it hurts. Leela May's face turns bright red. You are lying, she snaps. Kale and I are in love. If you hadn't shown up, I'd be the one here. Oh, I raise an eyebrow. True love? Then, tell me, what's Kale allergic to? What food does he hate most? Does he have a tiny mole on his left shoulder? Her face pales with every question. I found all these little things caring for him myself. Leela May can't answer a single one, just glaring at me angrily. What are you so proud of? Lila jumps in. You're just a fancy nurse. My brother doesn't even like you. Whether he likes me is none of your business, I snap. You. Lila stomps her foot, furious. Her eyes land on my thermos on the nightstand, my lunch, millet porridge. She lunges, snatches the thermos, twists off the lid, and throws it at me. I scream and close my eyes, but the hot porridge never hits me. I hear a loud crash and Lila's yelp. I open my eyes fast. Lila is on the floor, thermos spilled, porridge everywhere. By her feet, Kale's arm, pale, hospital-gowned, hanging by the bed. It was him. He reached out and tripped Lila. His movement was so fast it looked like a hallucination. His hand snaps back to its original position instantly. But I saw it. Lila and Lila May are petrified. They stare at Kale's still hand, then at Lila on the floor, disbelieving. Gah. Ghost. Lila scrambles up, grabs Lila May, and runs out of the ward screaming. The room is quiet again. I stare at the mess. Then at the sleeping man on the bed, heart pounding. That was my Morse code straight man ally, protecting me in real life for the first time. He risked exposing his secret to keep me safe. Warmth floods my chest, slow and steady. I lean down to his ear, whispering only for him, Kale Voss, that was the coolest thing ever. After Kale trips Lila to protect me, I'm sure he's not just faking a coma, he's playing a long game. And I'm his most important, special piece on the board. I start working harder to gather intelligence for him. I stop just ranting in the ward. I go out actively. I take walks in the mansion garden, chatting with gossipy maids. Martha, Aunt Bianca seems happy lately. Of course, Mrs. Voss. I heard Uncle Julian's overseas project is almost done. If he gets it, the second branch will run the company. I pour tea and water for Victoria and her socialite friends during mahjong games, listening closely. Victoria, your brother-in-law is getting powerful. I heard he's talking to the board behind Elias's back. I know exactly what he's up to. I piece together the bits of information and relay every word to Kale during my nightly stand-up. He's like a strategic general, listening to his messenger bring frontline reports. I can tell from his heartbeats and Morse code that his calm mind is racing. Our teamwork gets tighter every day. Then one day, I find something terrifying. I'm walking through the main mansion as usual when I pass Uncle Julian's study. The door is cracked open, and I hear him talking to Jackson. Dad, big brother's like this. Can't you get the project yet? Jackson whines. You don't know anything, Julian snaps. Your dad's stubborn, won't budge. The board is still waiting. Just wait around. Not for long. Julian's voice drops, cold and cruel. I've set it up. In a month at most, your brother will take a turn for the worse and die in treatment. Then even if Elias hates it, he has to give me the company. My blood turns to ice. They're going to kill Kale. I'm terrified. Cover my mouth, slip away quietly, and run back to the ward. I lock the door, shaking all over. Kale. I throw myself at the bed, voice trembling. Something's wrong, I heard your uncle say. He's going to kill you. The man on the bed lies still, no movement. But the heart monitor's line spikes to a dangerous high. I know he heard it. He's as shocked and angry as I am. What do we do? I panic. Call the cops? No, we have no proof. Tell your dad? But you don't even trust him, do you? I stare at his hand. He doesn't let me down. His index finger taps the bed frame. Fast, hard, urgent. Tap, S-E-N-D. Send? Send what? To who? He taps again. Phone numbers. I pull out my phone and write them down, fast. Then what? He taps more letters. Car. Car? The car from your crash? It's sabotaged? His heart spikes hard. I get it. You knew the crash wasn't an accident. You hid evidence in the car? This time, he taps a full word with all his strength. Yes. My brain explodes. It was all a plot. And he left evidence all along. I get it. I stare at him, determined. Don't worry. I'll handle this. I'll find the evidence, no matter what. In that moment, I'm no longer a fate-reversing bride or a stand-up comedian. I'm his partner in crime. His ally, the only one he can trust. And I'm willing to do it. With Kale's clue, I act immediately. First, find the crashed car. I find the butler. Mr. Bennett, what happened to the car from Master Kale's accident? He sighs. Totaled, sent to the junkyard in the suburbs. Which one? West Hill, a private Voss warehouse. The patriarch said it's too upsetting to dispose of, so it's been there. I have the address. But how do I get there without being caught? Especially with Uncle Julian watching like a hawk. I ask Kale during my nightly show. West Hill warehouse has tight security. A Voss wife suddenly going to a junkyard will raise suspicion. Uncle Julian's sniffing around for clues. Right after I speak, I hear his finger tap. Divert. Divert attention. Brilliant. But how? He taps more letters. Yao. Lila? Used Lila to distract them? His heart spikes. Yes. Genius. I clap my legs. Lila's an airhead. Only cares about bags and boys. Perfect for a distraction. A perfect plan forms in my head. The next day, I bump into Lila heading out. Lila, looking gorgeous. Going on a date? I smile warmly. Lila rolls her eyes, but brags. Duh. My boyfriend's birthday. I booked a table at Starlight Restaurant to surprise him. Starlight Restaurant? I gasp, covering my mouth. Oh no, I'm meeting friends there too. We might run into each other. Lila's face shifts nervously. I know she's dating a famous player who dates multiple girls, and Starlight is his go-to spot. Lila doesn't want to get caught. Sister-in-law, she hesitates, then begs, can you go somewhere else? Switch plans? I look hesitant, but I already promised my friends, and I heard their new desserts are amazing. I make it clear I'm not budging. Lila panics. She bites her lip and says, "I'll hook you up with a better spot. West Hill Hot Spring Villa, brand new, super private. I'll give you my VIP card, all on me. Please don't go to Starlight." Got her. That's so kind of you. I pretend to refuse. It's nothing. Done deal. Lila shoves the card in my hand and runs off in heels, scared I'll change my mind. I hold the VIP card, grinning. That afternoon I drive to West Hill openly. Even if someone follows, they'll think, Mrs. Voss got bribed with a VIP card and is off to a hot spring. A lazy, cheap wife. Exactly the image I want them to see. I skip the hot spring and turn onto a side road to the abandoned warehouse. But little did abandoned warehouse. The gate is locked, but I'm prepared. I pull out a wire, fiddle with the lock, click. I push open the heavy iron door, hit with the smell of rust and dust. Inside sits a crumpled black Bentley, totaled. This is it. I put on gloves and a mask, climb into the driver's seat. It's a mess. Broken glass and dried blood everywhere. I push through the discomfort and follow Cale's instructions to find the hidden evidence. Car, he tapped. Evidence is in the car, but where in this wreck? I search the entire driver's seat, even the cracks. Nothing. Did I misunderstand? Just as I'm about to give up, my eyes land on the blood-stained Voss L logo in the center of the steering wheel. My heart jumps. I reach out and pry the logo off. It comes off easily. Underneath is a small groove. Inside the groove lies a tiny black micro SD card, no bigger than a grain of rice. I found it. I clench it in my hand, heart racing with excitement and fear. This is Julian's death sentence. I put the logo back, erase all traces, and slip out quietly. On the drive back, the sun sets. I look out the window. For the first time, the dark cloud over the Voss family is lifting. I bring the SD card to Cale right away. Not physically. I use a secure reader to pull up the files. Dashcam footage. The video is shaky, audio noisy, but clear enough. Before the crash, Cale's brakes were tampered with. A black truck deliberately hit him from the side. Most importantly, the end of the video records a conversation. The truck driver and his accomplice. Job's done. Julian Voss owes me the rest of the money. Relax, you'll get paid. Ironclad proof. I encrypt the video and send it to the phone number Cale gave me. I exhale, exhausted like I won a battle. Hey, mission accomplished. I flash a peace sign at Cale. Your turn. You gonna throw this in his face or make it more dramatic? His finger taps slowly on the bed frame. Wait. Wait, for what? He taps more letters. Will. Will? Who's Will? He doesn't respond, but I get it instantly. The patriarch. Cale is waiting for Arthur Voss to sign his will. He's not just taking down Julian, he wants to strike when Julian thinks he's won, delivering the final blow. This man is terrifyingly cunning and irresistibly charming. The next few days are quiet. Julian's project hits a wall thanks to the first branch's pushback. He's getting anxious. I keep playing my lazy wife role. Drinking tea in the garden, napping at Victoria's mahjong games. A week later, the butler calls a family meeting. I wheel Cale in his wheelchair to the conference room. Arthur sits at the head, face grave. Next to him is Attorney Lee, the Voss family lawyer. Once everyone is seated, the patriarch clears his throat and speaks slowly. I called this meeting to announce something. I've had Attorney Lee draft my last will and testament. The room tenses up, especially Uncle Julian. He tries to hide it, but his greedy eyes give him away. Father, you're in perfect health. Why talk about this now? Julian says fake sweetly, I'm old, I need to plan. The patriarch glares at him, meaningful. So no one fights over the family fortune after I'm gone, making us a joke. Julian's face freezes. Attorney Lee, read it. Arthur waves. Attorney Lee nods, opens the document. Per Arthur Voss's wishes, all real estate is split equally between eldest son Elias Voss and second son Julian Voss. Julian's lips curl into a smile. All 51% of Voss Group shares shall be inherited solely by his eldest grandson, Cale Voss. Silence. Dead silence. Everyone stares at the motionless comatose man in the wheelchair like he's a ghost. What? Julian jumps up, face purple. Father, are you insane? Cale's like this. How can he run the company? You're ruining the Voss family. I'm not dead yet. The company won't fall, Arthur says coldly. But no buts. The patriarch cuts him off, eyes sharp. As long as Cale lives, he's the sole heir. Unless, he glances at me, Cale passes away without an heir. Then all his shares shall be held in trust by his legal wife, Mia Sullivan, until their child comes of age. My brain goes blank. Me? Inherit Voss Group. I'm the biggest winner. I stare at the patriarch. Then at Kale next to me. Was this part of his plan too? He outsmarted his enemies. And me too. The will reading ends in chaos. Uncle Julian's face is black with rage. He stares at me like he wants to kill me. I have no doubt he'd stab me if he could. Back to the ward. I'm still in shock. I'm the second-in-line heir to Voss Group. It feels like a crazy dream. Kale, I say to the bed, conflicted, was this your plan? Did you know Grandpa would write this will? His finger taps lightly. Yes, my heart sinks. Why? I ask, voice tight. Why drag me into this? You know you just put me in the crosshairs. Julian hates me now. He doesn't respond. Am I just a better pawn to you? My voice cracks with hurt and anger. I thought we were allies, partners. But to him, am I just a disposable piece in his game? The room goes silent. The heart monitor stays flat, lifeless. I suddenly feel stupid. I'm a clown, playing a game I don't understand. Forget it. I laugh bitterly. Stand up. Rest well, Ayer. I turn to leave. Then I hear urgent, hard tapping behind me. Not. I freeze, not turning around. He taps again. Protect. Protect. My heart jolts. I turn around, disbelieving. You mean you're protecting me? This time, his heart spikes. Hard. Definite yes. My eyes burn with tears. I get it now. He wasn't using me. He was protecting me in the clumsiest, most resolute way possible. He knew Julian would come for me, so he had the patriarch write the will, making me the nominal owner of Voss Group. I'm no longer a disposable fate-reversing bride. My safety is tied to the future of Voss Group. Hurting me means ruining the Voss legacy. This man, lying in bed, unable to speak or move, built me the safest path possible. He wrapped me in his protection. You idiot, I sniffle. Walk back to the bed. Lean down to look at his pale face. I don't need your protection. I say it, but my heart is full of warmth. Just then, my phone rings, Ethan. I almost hang up, but hesitate and answer. Mia, I need to tell you something important. Ethan's voice is grave. About Kale's crash? My heart jumps. What do you know? A friend works at the DMV. I had him pull Kale's crash file, Ethan says. The truck driver got a huge sum of money right after, then disappeared. The account that paid him traces back to... He pauses. Who? I press. Cole Fisher, a Voss Group VP. Cole Fisher. I recognize the name. Uncle Julian's right-hand man. Also, Ethan adds, Cole Fisher is close friends with Kale's uncle, Julian Voss. My heart drops. I suspected Julian, but seeing the proof chills me to the bone. His own nephew. How could he do this? Mia, you're in danger at the Voss mansion. Ethan begs. Leave now. It's a trap. I know. Thanks, Ethan. I hang up, heavy-hearted. I look at Kale on the bed. Whisper. Your enemy isn't alone, and he's running out of patience. We both know the final battle is coming. Ethan's call is the signal. The storm is here. Julian lost the will fight. His project is stuck, and he's a cornered beast ready to attack. And me, the nominal second heir, am his biggest target. I feel the mansion's atmosphere turn sinister. Maids who were nice to me avoid my eyes. My meals get accidentally mixed up. Flower pots accidentally fall from upstairs, landing right by my feet. It's Julian's warning. He's using cheap tricks to scare me, make me back down. I don't flinch. I eat, drink, rant as usual. But I carry a voice recorder and a small taser everywhere now. I'm waiting for him to snap, show his fangs. That night, I tell Kale company gossip as usual. Your VP Cole got chewed out by your dad today. Messed up data cost the company millions. He looked like he wanted to die. I watch Kale's reaction as I talk. Sure enough, his finger taps. Nothim. Not him? The data mistake wasn't his doing? He taps again. My people. I gasp. Cole is working for you? His heart spikes. Yes. My brain clicks. Kale knew Julian's plan all along. He planted a mole in Julian's circle. Cole Fisher, Julian's right-hand man, is actually Kale's spy. The data mistake was Kale's order. Cole's fake blunder to trick Julian into thinking the first branch is falling apart. Incredible undercover work. How many secrets are you keeping from me? I stare at him, like looking at a mystery. His schemes are beyond my imagination. Just then, my phone vibrates. A text from the secret number I sent the video to. Short and clear. Tonight, we move. My heart leaps to my throat. Tonight, Julian's going to kill Kale, right under my nose. I look at Kale immediately. He must sense it too. The heart monitor's line flickers unevenly. Don't be scared. I lean down, hold his cold hand. I'm here. I don't know where I got the courage to say that, but I know I can't leave him alone. We're in this together. Live or die together. I turn off all lights except a dim wall lamp. Pull out a small wireless camera I borrowed from security and hide it in a potted plant facing the bed. Done. I lie on the couch, close my eyes, pretend to sleep. My hand under the blanket grips the taser tight. Time ticks by, late at night, total silence. Then I hear it, a tiny metal scrape at the lock. He's here. The door creaks open a slit. A dark figure slips in, silent as a cat. By the faint moonlight, I see his face. Not Julian, his son, Jackson. He's holding a pillow. My heart sinks. They're going to suffocate Cale with a pillow. Make it look like a vegetative patient's respiratory failure. Evil plan. I stay still, gripping the taser harder. Jackson creeps to the bed, stares at the sleeping Cale, grinning viciously. Big brother, don't blame me, he whispers, venomous. Blame yourself for being in the way. When you're dead, I'll take your company and your wife. He raises the pillow, presses it hard over Cale's face. Now, I jump off the couch, drive the taser into Jackson's lower back fast as lightning. Electricity crackles. Jackson convulses. Eyes roll back, collapses like a sack of potatoes. I stare at him on the floor, heart racing. But it's not over. Jackson is just a pawn. The real mastermind is behind him. Sure enough, the door opens again. This time, Julian walks in. He sees his son on the floor, me standing there, and panics. You weren't asleep? He stares at me, terrified. Uncle, what are you doing in my room this late? I glare at him, taser still in hand. Julian's fear turns to rage instantly. He's cornered. No way out. You little bitch, I let you live longer. He pulls a gleaming dagger from behind his back. Since you won't behave, I'll send you and your brother to hell together. He lunges at me. I step back, trip over the bed frame, fall onto Cale. Julian sees his chance, eyes wild, stabs the dagger straight at my heart. This is it. I close my eyes, mind blank. But the pain never comes. I hear a thud, a knife sinking into flesh, and Julian's groan. I open my eyes fast. The sight burns into my memory forever. Cale Voss, the man who slept for months, has sat up. He blocked me with his arm. The sharp dagger is buried deep in his forearm. Blood soaks his hospital gown instantly. You. Julian stares at the awake Cale, terrified, speechless. Cale ignores him. His deep eyes burn like fire in the dim light. He lifts his uninjured hand, grabs Julian by the throat in a flash. You're dead. It's the first time I've heard his voice in months. Hoarse, low, with the cold power of a devil. 3 words. Julian's death sentence. Cale holds Julian up by the throat like a chicken. Julian's face twists with fear and despair. Cale, let me explain. He chokes out. Explain. Cale smirks coldly. Save it for the police. Right then, the ward door is kicked open. Uniformed police pour in. Leading them is Elias Voss, Cale's father. He stares at the chaotic scene, face dark, and says to the cops, "My brother Julian Voss is charged with attempted murder. The man on the floor is his accomplice, Jackson Voss. They're both witnesses." Julian and Jackson are arrested on the spot. I sit on the bed, staring at the man with a knife in his arm, still standing tall, mind blank. It was all his plan. He let Cole fake the mistake to lure Julian out. He knew Julian would attack tonight when he thought security was loose. He even had the police waiting. He directed the entire show, and me, risking my life with a taser, was just a bonus prop in his perfect plan. Huge disappointment washes over me. Your injury. I stare at his bleeding arm, voice dry. Minor, he says. Not glancing at it, just staring at me with his deep eyes. Doctors and nurses rush in. Chaos fills the room. I'm asked to wait in the living room. Elias, always the quiet father, walks up to me. "Thank you today," he says, conflicted. "If you hadn't acted, Cale." "I just did what I had to." I look down. "You're a good girl," he sighs, pulls out a check. $50 million. Compensation from the Voss family. Your marriage to Cale was a deal. Now the deal's over. Take the money. Live your own life. He phrases it gently. But I understand. Cale's awake. I, the fate-reversing tool, am useless. When the hunting dog catches the prey, the hunter discards the arrow. I stare at the check, laugh bitterly. I risked my life to keep his secret, protect him. In the end, to him and his family, I'm just an outsider to be paid off. I don't take the check. I stand up. Bow deeply to Elias. "Dad, take care of him." I don't look back. Drag my tired body out of the gilded cage I lived in for months. The sky is almost dawn. I breathe in the cool morning air, feeling like a long dream finally ends. Good. The game's over. Time to go back to my real life. I move back to my small, cozy apartment. I don't take the Voss family's $50 million, or anything that isn't mine. I block my stepmother's number, get a new phone, find a regular job, and start over. No word from the Voss family. Newspapers are full of Julian Voss, Voss Group's second in command, arrested for attempted attempted murder of his nephew. Cale Voss's name is back on finance headlines. The once comatose heir returns like a king. He cleans out all second branch loyalists in the company, launches industry-shaking projects. He's still the golden boy at the top, and I'm a forgotten speck of dust, gone from his world. Some nights, I think of those crazy months. The man lying in bed, talking to me only in Morse code. The hand he reached out to protect me. The moment he blocked the knife with his arm. Then I laugh at myself for being stupid. It was just another scene in his script. After all, a man like him could never fall for a ranting, snail-noodle-eating, fate-reversing bride. Life goes on, quiet and ordinary, until a month later. I get off work, walk home, and see a row of luxury cars I've only seen on TV parked outside my shabby apartment complex. Bodyguards in black suits stand by, so intimidating neighbors avoid them. The door of the lead Rolls-Royce opens. A long leg steps out. Then I see the face I've dreamed of countless times. Cale Voss. He wears a tailored custom suit, arm wrapped in a light gauze. He's a little thinner, but sharp, like a drawn sword, full of power. He stands there, looking at me. Everything else fades into his background. I freeze, not knowing what to do. He walks toward me, step by step, matching my heartbeat. He stops in front of me. "Done running," he says, voice more magnetic than I remember. "Mr. Voss, what do you want?" I look down, polite and distant. "Mia," he says, a hint of helplessness in his tone. "Did you really think I sent your dad with that check to get rid of you?" I don't answer. It's obvious. He laughs, suddenly. "It was your military salary," he says. "To start your own team, buy out your stepmother's failing company. I thought you'd get it." I look up, disbelieving. I waited a month. He stares at me, eyes full of warmth, and a little hurt. "I thought you'd take the money, come back and yell at me. I'm a billionaire now, you're mine." Tears burn my eyes. This stupid, amazing man. Why is his mind always so weird? "I don't want to control you," I snap, eyes red. "You do." He steps forward, pulls me into his arms. The hug is warm, solid, smells like familiar cedar, safe. "Mia," he whispers in my ear, low and tempting. I'm not fully recovered. "What?" "The doctor says I have a permanent side effect." "What side effect?" I panic. He leans down, hot breath by my ear, speaking slowly. "The side effect is, I can't sleep at night unless I hear your rants." My face burns red instantly. "So," he chuckles, kissing my earlobe, "Mrs. Voss, for your husband's health, can we start tonight's bedtime roast session?"